even with the good intention of this administration, can the local government administration truly be autonomous?
Well, I just needed to maybe call it remarks to what my colleague here, had said. First, he talked about the local government, the laws made by the Anambra State government. He said that the matter will have to challenge, have to take effect, have to go to court, State High Court. Then they
eventually culminate to the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, that by that time, the time would have been, over. And
one administration.
Invariably, the government would have spent, 3 to 4 years. That is, in my own opinion, I think the Supreme Court can expressly be approached by the federal government. Once an issue deals on issue of constitutional matter, the first court to go is the Supreme Court. At this point, and the president in section 5, sub 1B, he can even check it now, says that it is the powers of the president to execute and enforce any laws of the land. And any law that is inconsistent with what is made by the National Assembly remains inconsistent up to the point
to that extent, null and void.
I'm saying this, he can also reaffirm this.
He's a lawyer here.
He's not a lawyer made by the National Assembly.
Now I'm saying this.
Note what you're saying.
Yeah. Now, in this case, the Supreme Court has said clearly that this particular provision of the law, section 162 sub 6, is now impotent. In the eyes of the Supreme Court, that section does not exist because it has become, the witchcraft that has bewitched the growth of local government. It is not the duty of the federal government to enforce what the Supreme Court has said. Under section 5, sub 1, it is the duty of president to implement what the law is. And what is the law? The law is that all the funds of local government should be paid directly to the local government. But that's why the president has now put up a panel
led by the SGF.
Yeah, the SGF, to now implement what is the law. Now, don't forget that, like he has said, the Constitution also created some bodies I have mentioned earlier that made the local government and the state to be together, like the State Primary Board, and the rest, Healthcare Board, and what is it called, Local Government Service Commission, and all other commissions that are tied together with the local government. That has made the local government to look like a body that is being, that is a stooge tied to the apron strings of the state government. Yes, I agreed that we have a faulty constitution. I have said over time that the problem we have in this country is that we have a faulty constitution. Like he mentioned when he was reading this, yes, it's true, section 2 did not put the local government as part of a federation. The Supreme Court clearly said in this pronouncement, have you noticed that it's not that the local government was not mentioned among the federation?
Which was an error.
An error. The court now has made a statement that the country is now on a tripod, which is federal government, state and local government. That is a pronouncement that is now in the order of the Supreme Court. So leave what is in the Constitution. Now what the court says is the law is the law. Going further to section 7, it is very clear that we need to amend our Constitution to be able to have a body that can now be neutral from the state government to carry out local government elections. That is why you can have...
Which in this case, Niljek has been pursued.
Can come in. But the truth remains, like what he said, for you to have a law amended, to amend this constitution, you need to go through the two tests of the states.
And that is where the problem is.
Where you have the hurdle. Because the governors will be there to use the assemblies to frustrate that passage. So you see the point. So the Supreme Court haven't known this. Because this attempt has been made over and over. And the Supreme Court have seen its failure to pass through the state government. He now said this is now what should be the law. Whether the assembly now, whether the Senate or the reps now amend the constitution and pass it through or not, by what the Supreme Court has said, automatically is effect of what is the law. So my point remains that the government of Anambra State is doing what is ultra virus, what the constitution of what the Supreme Court has said.
I'm going to hold
crying out loud, like for example, Senator Abba Moru, crying out loud.
In what's going on in Benue State?
Benue State and across the country. It's not only Benue State. I even watched the Senate President saying that the call on the senator to tell how he was given one local government. He used the word how he was given. Because, he could not imagine that it will be landslide victory. That is the truth. No matter how you see it, whether in Akwa Ibom, whether in River State, where you have the APP, a party that was
relatively unknown,
coming to sweep the 23 local government system. You now go to Anambra and the rest, and that is what happens. Now, why are the governors this desperate?
Okay.
The question I want to answer is that, for instance, Anambra State governor, his party swept the entire local government council, and they got it all. Why is he not coming to make law to also ask them to pay into joint account? When haven't been the one that control to resolve the issues in the first place. I said that the Supreme Court said, by going by the Constitution, Section 7 of it, that the council ought to be manned by people who are democratically elected. And what we are being done before the Supreme Court pronouncement, was the governors appointing people as caretaker committee and the rest.
Is this really different from
No, I'm coming. Which was an outright breach of what the Constitution says. That now rendered the State Electoral Commission, CX, impotent, because they are supposed to be the one to do election that the people that we should man the council will now pass through to become council officials. Now, be that as it may, the governors of the states are controlling the CX, state independent electoral commissions. It's not like you have INEC that will do it. That is why the argument now is that we should have national independent electoral commission.
NILJEC.
For local government elections.
That's still